Yo guys, what is going on? JPS back for another video, and today we're going to be reacting to the cost of living in London. Now listen, I know a lot of you guys, a lot of my subscribers are from London. Obviously, almost all you guys are from the UK, but a lot from England, and especially from London. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I've heard London is an expensive city, so I guess we're gonna be reacting to this, how much I spend in a month, and this guy just, it seems that he has a pretty well set up video about that, so let's check it out. I'm not really living on my own yet, so I can't really compare, I guess, but I kind of have a general gist of how much it is to live in my area, so we'll have to compare it with this. But yeah, if you guys live in London, comment down below. Is it expensive for you? Are you like struggling? I don't know why I'm smiling while saying that. Are you struggling? Haha, like, it's not that great. Struggling sucks. But anyways, here we go.
Hi, my name is Jack.
Oh, by the way, like and subscribe if you're new.
A designer and video maker living in London, and in today's video I'm going to be discussing how much it costs me per month to live in London. London has a reputation for being a really expensive city to live in. Some people compare it to places like New York and Los Angeles in the USA. So in this video I'm going to be breaking down my monthly costs, so that includes things like rent, bills, groceries, travel, just to give you an idea of how much it actually costs to live here and see how it matches your expectations. I personally really enjoy watching these kind of videos when they're based about places I don't live. I know I've definitely watched a few about living in New York and also various cities living in Canada, as personally I'd love to live in some of those places in the future. Before I get into the costs, I just want to give some context that I'm filming this in 2020, and in the UK we're currently in a lockdown because of the current pandemic. That means some of my costs at the moment are a bit lower than they would usually be. You'll see that in things like travel, as well as me not including social costs, which I'd usually have, which would be things like going out for drinks with friends or for meals out, just because at the moment that's not possible, unfortunately. So the first cost
Alright, before we get into this, that did not age well because 2021 and we're still, I've heard, people in London are still in lockdown. Is that true? I don't know. But yeah. Also, he said something about New York. So I've been to New York City multiple times. Crazy. If you guys ever get the chance to visit, make sure you visit. It's just crazy. But here we go. I like how this video is set up. It's formatted pretty well. I like the background music.
I'm going to be talking about is rent. So I live in southeast London in the borough of Lewisham, which is a relatively affordable place to live in London. I live in a 3-bed flat with 2 other people, and in total for rent we pay £1,750. My section of that is £595 a month. The reason why I pay slightly more than a third of the rent is just because I have one of the bigger rooms in the flat. So to make it more fair on the person who has the smaller room, we split it in that fashion. In our flat we have 2 bathrooms, a big shared living space, and also a communal garden which we share with the other 3 flats in our building. The area we live in is pretty peaceful and relatively safe for London. There's lots of nice places around where we live to go when we're not in lockdown. And generally, if you're looking for an affordable place to live in London, I'd definitely recommend looking in southeast London. The next costs are going to be my various utilities and bills. So despite the borough of Lewisham being a relatively affordable place to rent, it's actually one of the more expensive places for council tax. I personally pay £56 a month. If you're not in the UK and you're not sure what council tax is, it basically covers the various public services and maintenance costs for the area you live in. So that's for things like the bins getting collected and making sure all the roads in your area are still in good condition. For gas and electric,
we know how Americans feel about taxes. Just saying, healthcare. Oh wait, I want to see what he says. Hey, how much is your healthcare? Oh, it's free. Damn, that would feel so great to say, but can't say it.
And making sure all the roads in your area are still in good condition. For gas and electric, we have a single tariff for that, so both our gas and electric comes from the same company, and that costs me £40 per month. We live in a flat that's pretty energy inefficient. We have all single glazed windows and 4 outward facing walls. meaning to heat the flat it does take quite a lot of energy, which I think is why our bills for gas and electric are a little bit higher than normal. For water I pay £12, that's pretty standard as far as I'm aware, and for internet I pay £9. Just to reiterate, that £9 is a third of our overall cost as it's split with the other people I live with. We have fibre optic internet with Virgin and it's okay, it's nothing special at all though. Next up is the various subscriptions I have. These costs aren't super relevant to the fact that I live in London, but I think as subscriptions are things that most people have, it's important to include it in the overall cost. So my phone bill is £32 a month, it's a 5G contract
Unlimited.
with EE. It did include the Google Pixel 5. I then paid £25 a month for a student license of Adobe Creative Cloud. I don't think I've mentioned it on this channel before, but I'm currently doing a part-time master's in UX design, and that means I do still get student discount on some of the services that I use, which is great. I then have a few other smaller subscriptions, like £7 for website hosting, and then a couple of pounds here and there for cloud storage.
Couple pounds for Patreon. Shout out to all you guys, man. Shout out to all you guys.
Pounds for website hosting, and then a couple of pounds here and there for cloud storage. But outside of that, that's pretty much all my subscriptions. I don't currently have an active subscription for Netflix or any gaming services at the moment, which means my general subscription costs are a bit lower than you might expect them to be. Next up is travel. So as I mentioned earlier, we are currently in a lockdown. That means at the moment I'm doing my full-time job from home. I used to commute into central London for it, and that would mean I had to pay £150 for a zone 1 to 3 travel card in London. But now I'm working from home, I very rarely spend more than £20 a month on travel, and that's probably a gross overestimate as well. I also don't have a car just because it's not necessary in London with how great the public transport is. But if you are going to drive in London, it is pretty expensive due to congestion charges. And the final monthly cost I have is my weekly food shop. I spend about £20 a week at Lidl on all my food for the week, which means that's about £80 for a month. I'll be honest that when we're not in lockdown, I do spend quite a bit of money on eating out and drinking out. So the current situation is actually saving quite a lot of money for me on my monthly costs. Eating and drinking out is very expensive in London. If you want to get a pint at most places, it's about £5, which I know people who don't live in London find pretty shocking, and it is quite extortionate. So the grand total for all these...
£5? Listen, I don't even drink, and I know that's expensive. That has to be expensive. And I already know, like, the restaurants are crazy expensive. I can tell they're, like, high-end. Yeah, you know.
London find pretty shocking, and it is quite extortionate.
Some of them, at least.
So the grand total for all these costs is £857 a month. Ooh. That covers everything that I've mentioned in this video, which is rent, bills, travel, groceries, and my personal subscriptions. Obviously, these costs were quite a bit more pre-pandemic because of things like traveling and socializing. So if people are interested, maybe in a year or so, if things have changed, I could do another one of these videos and see how it compares to this.
Sadly, they haven't.
I also thought something quite interesting we could do is compare these monthly costs to the UK average wage. So I've googled a few different average wages in the UK as well as the minimum wage. So timesing my monthly cost by 12 just to make it a year's worth is roughly £10,320. If we compare that to the UK average wage, which is £29,600, that makes a difference of just over £19,000. Now this is before tax, so that doesn't mean you'd just have like £19,000 extra money to play with. But even if you do take tax into consideration, there is quite a big difference there. The next one I'm going to do is the UK minimum wage. So this might not be entirely accurate as the minimum wage is done on an hourly rate in the UK. So what I've done is I've times it by 40 and then times that by 52 for a year, and that makes £17,000 for a year. So again, this is before tax, but there's a difference of about £6,500 there.
I think the minimum wage in the UK is definitely a lot better than the United States. 40 hours a week makes you that much, because there's no way that makes... Well, we're currently working to get it to $15 an hour, but I don't even think it's going to happen, honestly.
Once you take tax into consideration, there isn't a massive difference between income and expenditure there, which definitely helps the argument that London is an expensive place to live.
Yeah.
Next up, I'm going to do the UK average wage for people in their 20s. I'm doing this one specifically because it applies to me. I'm 23 years old. So the UK average wage for being in your 20s is £25,000, giving a difference of about £14,500 before tax. And finally, I'm going to do the London average wage, which is £37,000. Which is roughly £27,000 difference between the costs and income. I think from those numbers it makes it a bit more understandable why those extra costs like eating and drinking and travelling in London are so expensive, just because a lot of people in London have a lot of money.
Dang.
So that's pretty much everything from me for this video. I'm really interested to know what you think of these costs and how it compares to these different wages. Is this what you expected, or does it just not match your assumptions at all? Please let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed...
That is exactly what I expected. Almost exactly. So guys, we're going to have to react to like different places in the UK because I already know it varies a lot. I just wanted to make this one my first because I have so many subscribers who've told me they're from London, so it was like, we got to do this one, and someone recommended this, so yeah. But yeah, comment down below what I should check out next. Are there any like specific good videos about how much I spend in a month in, I don't know, a specific place in the UK that would be a good voice crack, good comparison to London. But yeah, that was one thing I am surprised about is, well, I guess that makes sense that a lot of people make that much money. It's a lot of money flowing in London. Got some rich subscribers, huh? I'm just kidding, but yeah, shout out to you guys for all the support. We hit 7K. I keep saying that, but it's just crazy. Yeah, I think London is definitely, if I were to compare it to like a city in the United States, definitely New York City or maybe Los Angeles. But yeah, definitely like New York City vibes. Just, you know, kind of, I wouldn't say smoggy necessarily, but you can tell it's definitely city, obviously. So yeah, shout out to all you guys in London. If you're from London, let me know down below. And yeah, comment some other places I should check out, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.